All right, folks, it's 9:30. We'll call the salary board meeting to order. We begin with the roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Laura. You're good. I was like, where is it? Commissioner Nieder here. Commissioner Fauci, I'm here. Commissioner Eichelberger, Deputy Controller DeGrossa here. All right. Is there any public comment for the salary board? Is there anyone online?
There is I don't know if he's county employee. There's a Gary Cribbs online.
Okay. He is not a county employee. I don't know if he has any public comment. If so, please use the raise your hand feature. Is there anyone in the room that has a comment on salary board or public comment? Did he raise? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for February 1st.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 1st, salary board.
Thank you. It's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gary. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next up. Bob, did you want to take it?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the salary board as presented for this meeting. Salary board actions.
All right. I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there any other business to come before the salary board at this time? No. Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. So moved. We are adjourned. We will go right into the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order and begin with the roll call.
Commissioner Nieder
Here.
Commissioner Fauci,
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay.
At this time, we'll entertain any public comment on the non-agenda items. If anyone online would like to comment on any other agenda items, they would please use the raise the hand feature. Is there any public comment at this time?
Individuals online, but I'm not seeing any hands being raised.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. And that, I will turn the consent agenda over to Susie.
Thank you, Commissioner. So the next section of the agenda is the consent agenda. These are routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature and appear not to require any discussion. If anybody wishes to have any of the topics removed from the consent agenda for discussion, now would be the time to make that request. Hearing none and seeing no requests, Commissioners, the consent agenda is agenda items 4 through 14, and I would request approval.
Motion on the consent agenda.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next portion of the agenda is the regular agenda. This is a list of non-routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And I'll turn the meeting over to Angela Smizer for contracts and grants.
Thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody. Moving on to agenda item 15, I will call on Jamie Reiber to discuss the contracts for children and youth. Good morning, Jamie.
Morning. The first one I have is Presley Ridge. It's an addendum. We did update the rate for their CRR room and board. We had the incorrect rate provided to us initially. This is not a program that we typically use, but we did want to get the correct rate into the contract for the fiscal year. The second one is PA Counseling Services. This is for a program called Check and Connect, which is going to be a truancy program that we are piloting with one of the local school districts. This is funded through an evidence-based grant, so it's limited at this point in time. We're going to try it out and see how things go and go from there. Third one is Kobe's Family Services. This is a foster care provider that we are contracting with. They are a new provider for us, but we are always in need of foster homes. So we wanted to add them to our list. They have comparable rates to all of our other foster care providers, and the rates are all approved by the state. The last one is for chore, youth and family services addendum. This is adding a reserved JPO bed to use for any youth that needs a detention bed. They are scarce usually, so they would like to ensure that they have a bed ready if they need it. So it is adding this extra bed in the contract. They are going to be reassessing that and seeing if there's other places that they can go to down the road, but for now, this is another one that they want to have available if needed. Any questions?
Any questions for Jamie?
None for me.
I'm just looking for action.
Someone like to make a motion?
Approve.
Second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 16, I will call on Ryan Simon to discuss the contract for drug and alcohol and criminal justice services. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. This contract with substance abuse services is for the certified recovery specialist that they provide to OIC. They're requesting a 10% increase for a contract maximum of $165,183. This is the first contract increase that they've requested for this contract. We've had it for about 5 years now. The reason for their request is due to salaries. They're having trouble hiring CRSs, and they're trying to increase their salaries across the board to make it easier to hire people. Any questions?
Brian, I do have just two. So you used two acronyms that I would ask you to please just clarify, OIC and CRS.
Sure. OIC is the Opioid Intervention Court.
Thank you.
And CRS is Certified Recovery Specialist.
Thank you. Anyone like to make a motion on that, please?
I will move to approve the Substance Abuse Services Inc. contract for drug and alcohol and criminal justice services.
I will second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Moving on to agenda item 17, I will call on Brent Durham to discuss the contract for facilities management. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, everyone. Before you use the lease agreement with Shippensburg Firearms Activity Center to continue leasing 2,600 square feet of space located at 35 West Orange Street in Shippensburg. This is a 5-year gross lease at a rate of $3,000 monthly or $36,000 annually. This lease also has a 5-year renewal option at that same rate. There is a cost increase of $30,000 over the 5-year term. But this is a nice property, has a responsive landlord, and it is the first increase we've experienced since 2009 at this property.
Any questions for Brent on the contract?
None from me. Anyone? Motion?
I will move to approve the Shippensburg Firemen's Activity Center contract for facilities management.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
And Brent will also be discussing agenda item 18, which is a capital project request for facilities.
Yes, this is a capital request in the amount of $50,000, and it's to provide a higher level of security at 310 Allen Road facility. I'm proposing additional access control, additional cameras, alarm system with motion sensing devices, and a higher security level of our exterior door locks. As you may recall, we had South Central Task Force, their business and infrastructure division performed a security and vulnerability assessment on this facility. And this capital project will address many of the suggestions from that report. Any questions?
I second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 19, I will call on Justin Smith to discuss the contract for GIS. Good morning, Justin.
Morning. This is a request for approval of $30,818 for Esri GIS software. This is our maintenance for software support and updates. We have requested this contract to be approved every year. And this is the first price increase that we've seen in Esri maintenance support in I've sent at least 10 or 12 years. They've increased their price by 10%. This request is consolidated with GIS Department, Planning Department, Public Safety Department, Vector Control. GIS is now assuming the previous license costs of assessment because Property Mapping Department has been reorganized within GIS. And at this point, we believe that all of this price increase of 10% will be covered within our budgets that we've already budgeted for.
Any questions for Justin?
I'll move to approve the ESRI contract for GIS.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 20, I will call on Sue Carball to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Good morning, Sue.
Sorry, all right, so we have several contracts here. The first three contracts are for early intervention. They are 23-24 fiscal year amendments. So the first one, Central PA Therapy Connections LLC, is an amendment. It's an increase of $9,861 for additional services. Feed Little Bellies LLC is also an amendment. It's an increase of $21,337 for additional services. And Pediatric Therapy Specialists of South Central PA LLC is an amendment. It's an increase of $12,528 for additional services for the children. Then we move to Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities contracts. They are also fiscal year 23-24 amendments. The first one, Bloom Human Services LLC, an increase of $17,633 for additional authorized services. Bold Incorporated is also an amendment, an increase of $16,954 for additional services. PA Life Sharing LLC is an amendment, an increase of $4,850 for additional services. The MH contract, it's new for fiscal year 23-24. It's actually an MOU for the development of the long-term structured residence for adults of Cumberland, Perry, Franklin, and Fulton counties who meet the criteria for this residential service. The state mental health office has provided $3,894,614 of funding for this joint project. Are there any questions?
Yes, so the only thing that's just interesting, every contract, it's adding services, and it's just the world that you're dealing with these days.
That is correct. We've talked about before the referrals for early intervention as well as the referrals for intellectual and developmental disability services continue to go up. So we need to amend contracts to have the services.
Thank you. So we take these all in one fell swoop. Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move approval of the MHIDD contracts as presented by Sue.
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Sue. Moving on to agenda item 21, I will call on Travis Chang to discuss the grant acceptance for the prison. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. The prison is looking for approval and acceptance of the COVID-19 mitigation grant from BCCD in the amount of $224,969. This money will be used in our continuing efforts to prevent, mitigate COVID and other contagious illnesses within the facility. The plan would be to utilize the money for 4 scrubbers, electrostatic sprayers, and 2 ID Now machines for medical, which simultaneously test for COVID, flu, and strep. Any questions?
If it were tonight, I, was involved, as you know, I was involved and sat down
Yes,
to
ma'am.
do at the beginning of this process, and I just so appreciate the work that you and the deputy warden and staff have done to get this grant in for the prison. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I will move to approve the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency COVID-19 Mitigation Grant Program grant acceptance of $224,969 for the prison.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Warden.
Everyone have a great day.
Thank you, Warden.
Moving on to agenda item 22, I will call on Bob Shively to discuss the contract for public safety. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Commissioners. Public Safety is requesting your approval of a 6-month extension of our digital recorder maintenance with Butler Mechanical Services. Might be more familiar in previous discussions as the COVA recorder. This provides all of our recordings for our phone lines and radio transmissions. The cost is proportionally remaining the same as our previous contract, but is only half the price due to shortening the term to only 6 months. The total price will be $21,053.50. And this renewal will bridge the gap to the new recording equipment, including as part of our next generation 911 statewide call handling project with PEMA that will be later this year, probably in June.
Questions for Bob?
No, none from me. Entertain a motion to.
I'll move for approval.
Second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bob.
Bob will also be discussing agenda item 23, which is a capital project request for public safety. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. This one, we're also requesting to purchase Power Ready software. We currently use the partner software Power DMS for all of our document and policy management with the staff sign-offs and acknowledgement. The Power Ready portion is more the operational side to track and include training records management, daily observation notes, training and position certification and qualifications. The total cost listed on the capital project was $25,000, but this is the 5-year maximum cost. Actual cost for the first year is $7,100. That's $3,500 setup fee, and then it's $3,000 per year for the subscription, and an additional $600 for the security single sign-on security features that IMTO had requested. So $7,100 the first year, and then $4,100 per year, I believe, after that.
Bob, what did you say that setup cost was? Year one?
Year one is $7,100.
You said there was a setup fee in addition.
Yeah, $3,500 setup fee.
Okay. It's 35, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any additional questions for Bob?
No, I will move to approve the capital project request for public safety as discussed.
I will say.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Moving on to agenda item 24, I will call on John Bittner to discuss the grant acceptance for vector control. Good morning, John.
Good morning, everybody. Happy post-Valentine's Day. Doesn't Dutch Shively have an incredible head of hair? My goodness. I can't get over how much hair that boy has. Anyway, this is the 2024 Mosquito Disease Control West Nile Grant, and the contract is the same as the application that we put in like 2 months ago. Includes a new ultra low volume sprayer for our evening control program, and that's about it. A little extra money for chemicals. That's it. Total cost $131,024.
Any questions for John?
Now, John, that is one impressive bug above your head, and this is a grant, correct?
Yes, it is a reimbursement grant, so all of our costs for 8 months are covered by this grant.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
A second, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you. Yep, ta-ta.
And with that, I will turn the meeting back over to Steve.
Thank you, Angela. And that takes us to agenda item 25, which is Commissioner's liaison reports, and Commissioner Meager, I'll start with you.
Sure. The department directors informational meetings continue, and we did have to unfortunately cancel 2 with the snow. But again, I can't thank the staff enough for the time and effort that they're making in working to present to the commissioners, and I found them incredibly helpful. And we are finding cost savings within the budget, so please keep them coming. And I attended orientation with the Penn State Ag Extension for the newly elected commissioners. And I enjoyed learning more about the longstanding relationship that they have with counties. We all attended the Carlisle Chamber of Commerce State of the County breakfast. And as a panel, we offered our different perspectives of what lies in store for the county. I attended the webinar with Vala Kush, the Secretary of Department of Human Services, to discuss the governor's budget and the impact to various departments. But I really believe it's too soon to tell how exactly that money will hopefully be flowing to Cumberland County. Additionally, attended the West Shore Council of Government meeting to introduce myself, and really enjoyed the conversations of that group. Commissioner Fashi serves as the liaison, so I won't be attending regularly, but I appreciated going and meeting them. I attended also a public safety training on Saturday for newly elected municipal officials. And I would like to have it actually submitted into the record, because I know Commissioner Fashi has done an immense amount of work in promoting the difficulties we're having with public safety and how it impacts. And I just found some of the data very interesting, that in public safety, they're currently receiving approximately 788 phone calls per day, with peak hours being Friday from 4 to 5. And that's about 60 phone calls per hour. But the grand total of their responses from fire, EMS, and police over the course of the year, it's a tremendous number. And so I will have it added for the minutes. But they just do an amazing job, are taxed beyond belief in that department because of a lot of the growth in the county. Additionally, I attended a Tom's Court graduation, which was always fun to see, and rewarding conversations with some of the folks in that program. We held our Ag Board meeting, and the board had a lively discussion on food processing residuals, and are really going to work to continue to develop something a little bit differently than what we had proposed for the resolution. I think they would prefer to have broader language than offering very specific requirements of DEP, and hoping that perhaps that would be more welcome. And they're working with the conservation group to generate the actual item that will come before this board for ratification. And then there was also a discussion held about the previously established 30,000 acres by 2030, and the need to understand if that, just evaluating and taking another look at that program, and if those are the right numbers, if it's too much, too little, too quick, and that board is very willing to engage in that process. So that is something I look forward to learning more about as well. And this morning was the planning commission meeting. They approved 2 agricultural security area additions, both in North Middleton, one on Union Hall Road for 35 acres, roughly almost 36, and on Shadow Drive for 125 acres. They, Kirk gave us a little bit of a preview of the update on the comprehensive plan. And I was really encouraged by the thoughtful approach that he's taking. And he will be sharing that with us in the future. It was interesting though, of the response, it came out loud and clear, strong support for open space farmland preservation, or a preservation of the small community feel that we have in Cumberland County. And it also came out equally strong, almost vilifying warehousing. So I'm not sure how he will incorporate all of that, but that in the I believe it was over 1,200 response, they're actively using AI to look at those free form responses in addition to spot checking. So it'll be fascinating to see what that results in. And the first week of March, he's calling the Cumberland County Planning Outreach Week. There will be a seminar over lunch. He's hosting a broadband meeting and a HATS presentation. So updates will be forthcoming. And they are also going to be hosting, doing a survey to municipalities, planning commissions and citizens about historic preservation. And so just keep your eye out for that, please. It'll be coming out soon. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Fauci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I would remind you to use the Cumberland County Library System. On 2/12, the Western COG met, and Commissioner Nieder and Commissioner Eichelberger both joined me at that meeting. And the COG was very happy to see 3 commissioners there. I think it's been a long time since that has happened, so they were very excited. Representative John Joyce, he represents a piece of Cumberland County at the federal level. He was there and he talked about the importance of 5G expansion to rural areas of Pennsylvania. And he put it in such an interesting way. He talked about Philly and Pittsburgh already being moved to 6G. They're already working on 6G. And here in Cumberland County, we have places where we're waiting for 5G broadband. So important piece that the federal government is going to assist with. He mentioned that community health care funding expired at the end of January. And I wonder what that means for Sadler Health Center. I'm going to reach out to them and talk with them about that. Representative Glime's office, her liaison was there, and his conversation, there was a lot of talk about FPRs again, those food processing residuals. And she's focusing on the distinction between harmful and helpful FPRs. Everyone is aware that there are public health issues associated with FPRs. And her office has a belief that changes to FPR regs should not conflict with the Right to Farm Act, which makes sense. That makes sense to me. Brightspeed will be at the Western COG to present next month, and there was a robust conversation about the coordination of broadband. So there's a lot of broadband dollars coming from the federal government. Lots of companies are vying for those dollars, and how will all of that be coordinated? How are we going to make sure that consumers and residents get the broadband that they need? Cook Township, Cook Township says this all the time. These P25 radios, they want to know how we know that those P25 radios are going to work in Cook Township. The last time there were radios introduced, new radios introduced, they talk about how they just didn't work. They just didn't have the radio frequency for those devices to work. So that is always a conversation at the Western COG with Cook. Kevin from Shippensburg Borough is really looking for grants to assist with paying for police and recruiting police. They've got a problem in Shippensburg Borough with that. They also have a 50-year municipal pool, and there's a fundraising effort by residents to raise $4.2 million to bring the pool up to date. Lower Mifflin talked about those food processing residuals and the concerns about them being all over the roadways, and how those trucks delivering FPRs are running all night long. And boy, their rep said people just can't even sleep. That's going on in that area of the county. There was a discussion about Ridge Road. Boy, DCNR abandoned Ridge Road years ago. You can't get a fire truck in that region of the county because the road is just falling apart. So that's a public safety concern. DCNR owns all of the rights of way on Ridge Road, and it was reported at the meeting that they plan to walk away from those rights of way by 2025. And if the municipalities along Ridge Road don't take those over, they will fall to private property owners. This is deeply concerning for the county, for those municipalities, and for the residents, because the road is needed. And it's falling apart, and there seems to be no interest from DCNR to maintain that road. So that is something that is on the horizon. And I know our conservation department is working with DCNR on that. Mount Holly Spring, there's a school that's closing, and of course the municipality is concerned about what will happen with the empty building and the local ball fields that are associated with that property. Shippensburg Township says the casino is going well, but exit 29 needs to be widened. PennDOT needs to widen it, and it has been on the tip for 20 years. So I'll be checking that out at HATS. Lower Frankfurt is getting a new ag security area. Again, in Cook Township, Pat talked about how she has a meeting with DCNR on the 22nd regarding 27 dead trees that need to come down that seem to be DCNR's responsibility. Newville talked about how they're still waiting for the audit of their finances from the district attorney. Shippensburg Borough has 3 state routes, and clearly this was an exciting meeting. This was clearly a good meeting. And PennDOT used to take care of all the drains on those state routes. And PennDOT in some municipalities is now saying they're not taking care of the drains on those state routes. They want the municipality to. And again, that's concerning. That's just, this theme is happening over and over again in this county, where the state just seems to be downloading to municipalities and to the county responsibilities with no funding for handling those responsibilities. So I don't know where Shippensburg would get the money to replace and take care of all of those drains. So there was a conversation about that. The library system board, we also met on Monday. And the library system is just so great in Cumberland County. There's just a couple of highlights there. Barb Davis, the library assistant at the Joseph T. Simpson Public Library, was the Employee of the Month for February. She's been at Simpson since 2017. Carolyn Blatchley received a free pass to attend the annual winter meeting of the American Library Association. And Carolyn is very excited that she will be coming to present to the Board of Commissioners as her update for us. So that's it. That's all I have. That was a lot.
Thank you.
Meetings. That was a ton.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, just a few items. I did check in with Dustin Miller over recycling regarding to the outstanding issue of damaged grinder that we have. He said they don't have resolution yet with the insurance company. Not to get too far in the weeds, but they have their contract. He just actually got back from the Mechanicsburg Borough, sent me this right before our meeting. So the contractor came out and they're getting it hooked up to tow away, and they're going to be trying to address the insurance issue, which is a little more vexing than they expected it to be. So he gave you some fine details. I'll spare you those. But so that continues to be the saga of Justin's Day. The authority meeting is canceled this week, so that'll. They said they had no agenda items, so apparently nothing terribly urgent. If there is anything, I'm sure he'll pass it along to us. I'll make sure that everybody gets that. Other item, I think we all received the information from Andy regarding the proposed meeting with the Connections folk for the walking center. So, of course, we have an upcoming conversation on that, commissioners. The only other item there, I did get a written update remaining health over aging. They have a number of things going on. I just got this, so I didn't have a lot of time to look through it, but most of it's pretty standard. They did have to close the senior centers during the big snowstorm. So for one day snowstorm to central PA. They did have to relocate one of the centers. She didn't identify which one due to water damage. I didn't catch that in the paper, but fully staffed protective services worker and case aid are having both started in January. They 4-year plan and goals are due with the state soon, so they're working on getting all of that tidied up and submitted. Governor's proposed budget has an additional $10 million for the 52 area agencies on aging services across the Commonwealth, $10 million statewide. So they are going through the new update that came out for the Older Americans Act. It's the first substantial update since 1988. So the implementation date is due. So they're working at analyzing that and getting themselves into full compliance. She reports it doesn't look like a tremendously substantial impact on first review, but they are working their way through it. So we'll probably hear a little bit more on that as well. The only other item I wanted to mention was the meeting on Friday for the local elected officials committee of the Workforce Investment Board. We had considerably active discussion on a number of the initiatives, changes underway. And the one thing I wanted to bring to, I guess, the group's attention is, Stacy, you're going to hear from Jesse McCree, if you haven't heard from him already, in regards to a pilot program they have going on in Dauphin County, the reentry program. So I did let him know some of the reentry efforts that are underway here with our criminal justice policy team. They are hoping to do some substantial work across the region on this. And I think it's one of the programs actually that could have been piloted in Cumberland, but didn't work out that way. Dauphin, of course, has a substantial need for attention on their prison issues. So I'm not sure if that drove it or not, but I want to make sure that we're in sync with a lot of what they're doing and that we have opportunities as well here. So I asked him to touch base with you just to get in touch with whoever in criminal justice might be the person to give him a full accounting of how our reentry effort is working and really the opportunities to kind of mesh what they have to offer with what we seek to accomplish. So I'll send him a note just to remind him.
Okay, yep, I'll keep an eye out on my email as well.
Okay, that's all I have for now. So
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. That takes us to agenda item 26, which is executive sessions. There is an executive session on February 8th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. And the same day, February 8th, 2024 at 10:15 a.m. regarding negotiations. That takes us then to other business. Now I'll ask if anybody has any other business. Hearing none and seeing none, we are adjourned.
Thank you.